What's up, everybody, and welcome in to Bad for Baseball, the baddest baseball podcast on the internet. I'm your host, Nicholas Playlog, joined by Adam Peddle. We are less than a week away from the MLB trade deadline, so rumors are really starting to swirl. We got to talk about that because there is a lot of stuff going on there. On top of that, though, you got a bit of a baseball brawl going on. I mean, everybody loves it when they throw the gloves down and go after it, and they went after it. Somebody got body bagged in a way that you might not actually anticipate. So we're going to talk about that among a bunch of other stuff. But before we get into it, Adam, a week to go until trade deadline. It's starting to heat up. This is one of the most exciting times of the year, especially for a content creator perspective. How are you feeling right now with a couple days left till the trade deadline?
Well, as of recording this, really nothing's been going on, so it feels like that everything's going to happen all at once. I mean, you've got some pretty interesting players in this deadline. Of course, you always have the Dodgers, but you also got a lot of teams that need to save their season, like we're going to talk about in a little bit. The New York Yankees, that fall apart. That whole team is falling apart right now. Then you got the Mariners, like you had the lead for so long. The Astros are coming back. The Rangers, we actually talked about this recently, they're coming back, and they're actually looking like they might even overtake them in a few weeks by the way things are going. So that's all happening. And then as well, of course, you've got the baby Orioles, you know, like they're finally, hopefully going to have a deadline of the ages in their history because they're up there with the Dodgers as going to be one of the most aggressive buyers, especially with all their prospects like we know. Yeah. So it's a really interesting landscape that we haven't really seen in the last few years.
You know, on Red Zone, in the final hour of Red Zone.
The witching hour.
Exactly. The witching hour. Where
wins become losses and loss becomes wins.
Exactly. You know, I'm sure that there's a couple other listeners that know all about what we're talking about right there. But, I mean, the witching hour, it's like the last hour, which is the final quarter of all the 1 p.m. games, and I feel like that's even though it doesn't really translate to baseball, it just feels like something is in the air right now because it feels like there are some teams where their seasons are turning into losses and others where their seasons are just turning into wins.
Yeah, I mean, I was listening to Talking Baseball, and they were calling it, like, the runway, you know? Like, either teams are going to take off, like, especially in this last week, they're calling it the runway.
I like that.
Teams are going to take off or teams are going to land. It's like, are you going up? Are you competing? Or are you going to sell? Yeah. And I feel like already at this point, we're starting to get a general understanding already of who's in, who's out, like, just going down through the list. Blue Jays, they're out. Tampa Bay, they're never out. They're always going to do Tampa Bay Rays stuff. You know, White Sox, they're out. The one team is actually kind of fringe. We didn't even talk about this. The Detroit Tigers went on a bit of a heater lately. They're kind of fringe, and that's one of the big names. Tariq Skubal being tossed around.
I argue that's the biggest name.
That's the biggest name.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if I'm a Tigers fan, I'm going to say this straight up. If I'm a Tigers fan, why I do not want to trade Tariq Skubal. Are you kidding me? This is the one guy that we have, and we're just going to ship him off. You know, why just trade Jack Flaherty if we're going to sell? Keep Tariq Skubal.
Well,
you know,
maybe though for a little Jackson Holiday, you could be persuaded, which we are going to talk about a little bit later here, folks. But first things first, let's talk about one of those squads who right now, you know, if we're using the metaphor, the analogy that Talking Baseball was using, the runway. Well, it feels like maybe they're not even just landing, like they are crashing, they are burning. The New York Yankees, this isn't the first time that we've brought up the New York Yankees and just the cataclysmic collapse that is going on right over there in the Bronx. Incredible start to the season. I think it was 50 and 22 is what they did. And then since then, it's been a record of 10 and 21. In the month of July, they are 6 and 12, I believe. 6 and 12. Yeah. So in the moment that you're supposed to be picking it up, one would think, right, in the dog days of summer where you're hopefully really getting into the rhythm as a team, really starting to go, they are doing the complete opposite right now, and that is with the the addition of Garrett Cole, who has gotten off
kind of haven't helped the team. I mean, like ever since he came back, like the bad woes came, you know, like they were doing fine without him.
Yeah, and then the second he came back, and again, it's not all his fault, right? He's had some good starts. He's also had some bad starts. He's been very iffy, and I think a lot of Yankee fans and just baseball fans in general would have anticipated that coming off of the injury that he did come off of. But things are just not looking good in the Bronx right now, and as is typical New York fashion, they're going to go all in anyways. The reports are the top prospects, Jason Dominguez and Spencer Jones, they could be leaving, to potentially bring in some more assets to help these guys or to stop them from crashing, if you will.
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like, Dominguez, he's been dealing with some injuries, but regardless, his value is going to be so high.
Still sky high.
So high. Same with Spencer Jones. And it's interesting to thinking about the trade package of what would involve for them, because if I'm the New York Yankees, it's not necessarily like those guys would command a top-level talent in return. That's the kind of player that they are. But and I'm not saying that they wouldn't go out and get a top-level talent if they could, but the problem with the Yankees isn't their top-level talent. It's the fact that their depth is so bad.
Right.
I never thought that losing Giancarlo Stanton would hurt them this bad. Ever since then, they've been going on this stretch, their infield depth is horrible. DJ LeMahieu should not be playing every single day, and he is. Alex Verdugo's fallen off a table.
Oh, my God. Dude, he's been the worst hitter in baseball since June 15th. Let me pull up his stats right now. This is Alex Verdugo. Alex Verdugo was a great player over there in Boston. June 15th, the worst qualified player in all of baseball. And the statistics are as follows, folks, once Baseball Reference decides to load for me. But I'm seeing a crap load of offers between then and now. In fact, he's batting 154 with a he's batting 154 since June 15th with an OPS of 443. That's an everyday player for them.
Yeah, no, it's bad. It's bad. So my point being is yes, those guys are available, and that's probably their bait right now. They want to throw those names out there and see what kind of guys are going to be biting to get those kind of players.
Yeah.
But they really do need to get a massive wave of new roster players. I'm talking 4 or 5, maybe even 6+, because you look at their bullpen, they need desperate help in the back end of that bullpen. The infield, you could basically start all over. You could start all over with an entirely new infield. Ben Rice has been pretty good, calling him up. He's been good at first base. But you can almost get an entirely new infield. And then for the pitching side of things, Luis Hill, what's going on, dude? And Garrett Cole, I know you're Garrett Cole, but you still need a little bit more help. And they're looking at an everyday starter to help them out. So you're looking at a ton of guys. And that's just to bring them back out of whatever the hell has been going on lately.
Yeah. Again, things are rough, right? If I was a New York Yankees fan right now, I would not be happy with the direction that this team is going in, especially after, you're kind of, I'm scared, because I was rock hard after those first couple months, and now I feel like, I am getting blue balled like crazy, as to what's going on here. I will say, to the offense's credit, the New York Yankees' credit, in the last month, in the last 30 days, they have been ranked 10th in OPS. So again, not the worst in baseball, not overwhelmingly incredible. And again, the results don't lie. They are 6-12 in July, so it's not like being 10th in OPS is actually doing anything for them. And probably a lot of that just comes from Aaron Judge and Juan Soto. After that, fall off the table completely.
Well, just to add to your point, Juan Soto, 1.135 OPS. Aaron Judge, 1.028 OPS. I think the next highest guy is
Ben Rice.
It's actually Wells. He's been sneakily good. He's been batting 4 for them a lot.
Okay,
He's 976 OPS. But other than that, the next guy would be Ben Rice. Oh, Gleyber Torres. Actually picking up just a little bit right here in 862. So they've gotten a little bit of contribution, but again, the fall off after that, it's I'm seeing 4s, I'm seeing 5s, I'm seeing 6s OPS. So
yeah, exactly. And I mean, Gleyber Torres too, he has been so inconsistent, man. Yeah. I had to drop him in my fantasy league, guys. I mean, I owned him in fantasy, I drafted him, and I had to get rid of that guy because
keep waiting.
It was not working out. However, in those last 30 days as well, the pitching, 23rd in baseball. That is something that is very concerning for me because they were rocking and rolling with the pitching for a long period of time. First 2 months in baseball, it was fucking
They were number
incredible.
1, I'm pretty sure.
And they absolutely need to go out and they need to address that. I think that, the Yankees have a tendency and they have a mentality to go out and always get the big piece all the time. And that's probably why you're hearing it. And they are dangling the Jason Dominguez, 25th ranked prospect in all of baseball, by the way. We saw what he can do in a short period of time before he got injured. And then also Spencer Jones, 73rd ranked prospect in all of baseball. Big pieces here. They're dangling them. And, it's almost like it's in their nature to go out and acquire the Louis Robert Jr. and the Tariq Skubal if they could. But I think, to your point, depth is where it's at for them right now. I do think that, maybe I don't want to say less is more here, but more is more. You need more guys than just, like the big Garrett Crochet. Like I'm saying, get a Jack Flaherty, get a, just get
Randy Arozarena. Yeah. They need some outfield help a little bit too. They could, maybe put Verdugo back on the bench. Get Trent Grisham on the bench in whatever way possible. Maybe make Aaron Judge play a little bit more center field. Yeah, they need a lot more. And what's kind of crazy to think about, if I'm a Yankees fan, we haven't won in 15 years. That's a long time for the Yankees, right? So, yeah. But if I'm a Yankees fan, it felt like this whole Aaron Judge era has been, to what you brought up, blue ball city. My balls are so blue. They're hanging. I got one of the best hitters on the team. We trade for Juan Soto. We get so deep. But it feels like whatever it is, they're missing that thing that's completing the entire roster. They are so top-heavy like the Yankees always do. But for whatever reason, I don't know if it's the development. I mean, what kind of guys have they developed in the last 5 years? I mean, Luis Gil, obviously Aaron Judge way beyond that.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking about Volpe. Volpe is not becoming a guy. Gleyber Torres blue balled a little bit on me on that. They got Clark Schmidt. There's guys that are there, but it feels like they don't have that foundation that they used to have.
Well, and, looking at these reports that Spencer Jones and Jason Dominguez is available, I was a little surprised because, again, like that is your future, and those guys are supposed to be very solid players, right? I could totally see Jason Dominguez, kind of taking the torch away from Stanton when it's his time to go, right? And I mean, he's having a bit of a renaissance here when he was healthy, but
he was supposed to.
It's like that's kind of what I see the natural progression being right there, him. So I think that they should keep those guys around. I really do, because you're right. I think they need to have a little bit more of a a core that is developed that you don't go out and you trade for, you don't go out and you buy. That being said, though, I want to be very, very clear here. I do believe that the New York Yankees should 100% be all in this year and, buying as many pieces as you can, right? You have such a good record. You're in a position right now. You still have Aaron Judge in his prime. You got this 1 year of Juan Soto. You don't know if he's coming back.
That's why they got to buy. That's why they got to buy in.
You got to buy. And I do think that Garrett Cole, like he's still Garrett Cole, and he's had a couple starts where it's like 6 innings, no earned run, 6 innings, 1 earned run. It has been a bit inconsistent. I do think that he'll figure it out as time goes on. So I 100% do think that they should be in looking to get as many pieces as possible. But if they can do it in any capacity where they're holding on to Dominguez and holding on to Spencer Jones, that is obviously the trajectory that they need to go.
Yeah, because I don't even think they really need to spend that level of talent to get them back to where they were. Like, sure, like I said before, could you go out and you get a Crochet? Like, sure, right? But like, I think they would be better off selling a lot of more of their depth in their farm system and keeping those guys around for the future. Selling off the depth and getting bullpen, back end bullpen arms not going to cost you an arm and a leg. Middle infield help. You don't have to buy a superstar. Buy. We were talking about this because we're Blue Jay fans. Go sell them back IKF or something like that.
Exactly.
A Luis Rengifo from the Angels. Like, go get something like that. Maybe Kevin Pillar from the Angels if you want some outfield help to replace, Trent Grisham a little bit. Little buys like that aren't going to cost you Dominguez and Jones. So
that's the thing.
I think you should go that direction.
You've already done the heavy lifting by getting superstars, right? You do have superstars. Nobody can deny that. You got fucking superstars over there. Now, you need a 7-hitter. You need a fourth pitcher.
Literally.
That's what you're looking for right now. This should be easy stuff. And yes, you do need a lot of it. You have, it's not like, one guy and we're all fixed. But go out and make all the moves happen, right? I mean, Baltimore has been phenomenal, but like they're also going through a little bit of a rocky stretch right now. They're just getting overshadowed because the Yankees are sucking so much, right? So the New York Yankees, like, they could still go on to win this division. They do need to absolutely show the team, show their fans though that they are fully in on this season. If you can do it without trading away Dominguez, obviously you should.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting, guys. I mean, you got Tuesday, July 30th. I believe it's 6 p.m.
6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
That's the deadline. We'll see. It should be an interesting one. We'll have a lot more news coming up then. And that podcast after that's going to be wild. We're going to be breaking it all down.
That is going to be a fucking wild. I love the, it's almost like a post-nut clarity of like, okay, so like this is where we're at right now. Yeah. You get that clairvoyance of like, this is what we are looking at.
You can kind of grade the deadline too, like who won, who lost.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I'll tell you right now, man, one team that absolutely needs to go all in, and their direction where they got to go is so clear, right? It is so abundantly clear. It's the Seattle Mariners. And similarly to the New York Yankees, they are 6-12 in the month of July. So right when you should be finding your rhythm, they aren't. Julio Rodriguez, injured.
Right.
J.P. Crawford, injured. Oh my God, that offense is fucking anemic.
I know, bro. It took me, one search, looked up all their player hitting stats. Holy ass am I looking at right here.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not even counting Victor Robles because he has only 52 at-bats. Their highest team OPS leader. Do you know who it is?
Cal Raleigh?
Cal Raleigh at 714.
Oh, my gosh.
And you got, I think next is Julio. No, excuse me.
Is it Luke Raley?
It's Dylan Moore at 701. And then it's Luke Raley and then Julio in the 600s. Here's the problem with the Mariners. Like, okay, you look at your offense, and everyone's screaming, you need offense, you need offense, you need offense. And you see them going on this big downhill slide. They lost the AL West lead. And you're like, oh, we need offense. And they just had J.P. Crawford get injured now. They DFA'd Ty France. Like, everything's going wrong.
Yeah.
And, yes, I know they got a really highly rated farm system. I believe Bleacher Report ranked them as number 1. We'll see what MLB comes out with. But, like, they got a great farm system. But still, you have to buy a whole new team.
Yeah.
You got to buy an entirely new team. That's how bad they've been. And now you have the Texas Rangers starting to cook a little bit. We were talking about that last week. They're 6-4. They're on a 4-game win streak. They're only 3 games back of the division lead. Like, they're in it. And I don't think the Rangers are going to be selling hard, especially when they got DeGrom coming back. They have a bunch of other pitchers on their way back. For me, it's like the Mariners are, it's almost like unsolvable, these issues. It's so bad right now.
So, you know what? I do hear where you're coming from, and I agree with you to an extent. However, with the bad, there is also the good. And we do need to give them credit for what they are very good at, which is they can absolutely hurl the goddamn baseball. In the last 30 days, they are first-ranked team in ERA. They have a 2.77 ERA. And on the season, they are the first-ranked team in ERA with the best pitching in all of baseball. So for me, yes, they need to go out. Yes, they need to absolutely revamp the lineup. But we're not looking for you guys to go from, and also, let me be very clear, they have been one of the worst teams in OPS all season long and in the last 30 days. Yes. But we're not looking for you guys to automatically become a fucking, slugging squad. You don't need that. If you could even just be a, 16th ranked team in OPS. 16th ranked team in OPS.
I know.
Then you are now a very, very good baseball team. We're not asking you to go out and to buy the Louis Robert Jr. and a bunch of other guys. I think you just need go out, do yourselves a favor and pick up as many, like an IKF, for instance, as many of those guys as you possibly can.
But I hear what you're saying. Look, I mean, you say that you don't need to pick up a Louis Robert Jr., but it almost feels like you have to pull this team out of how bad they've been. Now, granted, I do want to give some credit to Julio Rodriguez because in the last little bit, he has been turning it on. In the month of July, he's pulling his weight. He's batting for a 375 batting average and an OPS of 1.1. So he's actually he's second half Julio all over again. He's starting to come alive, but even that's not helping them win. It's like they need even more now. And now they have an injury to J.P. Crawford. It's like, Jesus. Like, I already make a video on this on our Blue Jays Today channel.
And Rodriguez, too.
Rodriguez? Julio Rodriguez is injured?
Yeah.
Oh, no. I thought he got hit by a pitch and he's okay. No.
Apparently, the article that I'm reading says that they're placing Julio Rodriguez and shortstop J.P. Crawford on the injured list Tuesday.
Well, there you go.
So
it's over now. That's the one thing you had, and now you're losing him.
Right.
It's so bad. I don't even know where to go with them. Like, for me, it's like, it feels like a lost cause, and like, it's a sinking ship, and I don't know how to pull it back up.
Yes, and again, I can't deny that that is absolutely true. But you can't have the fucking number one pitching staff in baseball and not try. You have to. It's like you need to get as many guys as possible. Like, sure, you need a lot. You do need a lot. But, how often are you going to have the number one pitching staff in baseball, right? Like, you'd be doing yourself such a disservice not to go all in and not to buy these pieces. You can do it. And for a period of time, you were that squad, right? Obviously, the offense has completely fallen off of a cliff recently.
Yeah.
But for a period of time, they were doing it. Go get yourself as many guys as possible, and then just fucking cross your fingers and hope that when Crawford, when he comes back, is good, and JP when he comes back is, or Julio when he comes back is good, and whoever else you bring in is good. It's going to be tough sledding, but you have to do it.
You might as well. I mean, we all knew this was going to happen all year long. Like, you saw the run differential with the Seattle Mariners, and it was like right around 0 the entire time, and they're like, okay, like They're winning more times than not. The luck is falling their way, but now we're seeing it all come to fruition. The same thing with the Toronto Blue Jays. We're seeing it come to fruition. And same thing with the Astros. Like, they had the run differential now helping them out, and the record's there. So, look, Seattle Mariner fans, I know it sucks, guys, but if I'm you, to get back in this season, you got to have an A+ deadline. You got to buy.
Well, the biggest problem for them, though, and this is a problem for a lot of teams right now at the MLB trade deadline, is the lack of offensive help that is available.
There's not much.
There isn't much.
Randy.
Well, in this article by The Athletic here, they're looking at the Seattle Mariners and how they can, because again, they're kind of establishing as well, like what we're saying. It's like, well, the pitching is so good, and again, when you have the best pitching in baseball, like you gotta do something here. But the issue is, I mean, it's just a lack of a surplus of offensive help, right? The Tampa Bay Rays, if they are open for business, I mean, Randy's a solid buy for sure. Also, Yandy Diaz, Brandon Lowe, if you could get him, Isaac Paredes, these are all names that they list, and honestly, those would help them out a lot. Like, if you could somehow finagle a deal where you ended up with Randy and Brandon, it's like a 2-for-1, then that is a massive help, right? San Francisco Giants, Michael Conforto, Wilmer Force, Mikey Strimsky. I mean, okay. I don't think that moves the needle for me, over there in Seattle. I mean, if I'm looking at needle movers here, like guys that will actually make a serious impact or a difference, I mean, some of those Tampa Bay Rays, maybe a Jazz Chisholm, maybe a Josh Bell, maybe a Jesse Winker.
Ryan Mountcastle on the Orioles. They just DFA Ty France. That's a good plug.
That could be a good plug. I don't know. Again, I don't know if that's going to be.
It's not needle movers. That's the thing.
Yeah,
it's like you need
multiple of them.
You need superstar. Like, you either need multiple of these guys or like a couple superstars, and there just isn't that. So you got to be trading.
Well, that's the thing.
Trades.
Let's say, for instance, they go out, they buy Jesse Winker off the Washington Nationals. He's got an OPS over 800 this season. He's been playing good. You go out, you buy Ryan Mountcastle. He's got a 750 OPS or something. We know that
that's gonna be second on their team.
We know that's solid, right? And then you go out and you buy a Randy Rosarina. I mean, look, this is a lot. You are doing a lot. But if you did something like that, I think that would be enough to at least bring back the life to that offense. You need 2 or 3 guys. It's got to be 2 or 3 guys.
And that's what it has to take. And then you got to go play ball. And then you got to go beat the Houston Astros. And then you got to go beat the Texas Rangers. And what's scaring me is I'm seeing on that same article, the thing that scares me, and I don't know how good they're going to be at all, but the Rangers, you've got a lot of reinforcements coming back to this team. They got soon returning is Dane Dunning. I don't know who Cody Bradford is. Sorry, Cody Bradford. Tyler Mahle and Jacob deGrom. It's like they're getting like a wave of dudes, and if like only a couple hit or one hit, like that's still like a trade deadline acquisition for the Rangers. And it's like now you got to go beat those guys that are getting bolstered, and the Astros are going to be the Astros, and they're going to be tough to beat.
Yeah, but I mean, look, you don't even have the luxury of worrying about that anymore.
You haven't done much in the last 20 years, Mariners. So you got to go do it,
right? I mean, like how often? That's what I keep coming back to is how often are you going to end up at the top of the list of teams with ERA, with what, like a squad that is so deep, right? If you can just get to the postseason and, be able to put up 2 runs or something like that, like, fuck, I mean, I have, I have Luis Castillo in fantasy. Yesterday he gives up, I think it was 1 earned run, takes the L. You know what I mean? And it's like 6 innings, 1 earned run, takes the L. I'm like, are you fucking serious? You know, but this is like, we're not asking for that much more offense because the pitchers give you such a good chance every single time.
What does this remind you of, Nick?
But even more so.
I know, it's even more drastic because their pitching staff's better. We're talking about the Toronto Blue Jays, man.
Even more so.
And it's ass.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
like,
ass.
at least, here's the thing. At least with them, they have something that is absolutely top tier. We were talking about this the other day saying, there's 3 cylinders, right? You got the starters, you got your bullpen, and then you also have the offense. They have 2 cylinders that are at the fucking tippity top and one that is so dog water.
They just need one to operate. It needs to be operational.
Just like functional a bit.
Yeah.
You know?
Like their run differential is only 9, plus 9. Like you're technically an above average team.
Yes.
Just can you generate a little bit more and like maybe like what's the wild card standings looking at? I think they're out of it. Yeah. They're 3.5 games out. So like in the AL West, at least at this point, like you got to win it. You got to win the AL West, which is going to be tough, but I mean, it's going to be a long road for these Mariners. We'll see this upcoming deadline where they end up, man. It's going to be challenging.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. But absolutely, I'm excited to see what they do. They should. If I was GM, I'm pushing my chips in the middle. I'm pushing my chips in the middle.
You got the farm system.
Let's talk about something a little bit. I don't know if it is lighthearted. Actually, it's just ridiculous. You got Cal Quantrill beefing. With a guy that we like to so aptly call Wanky Panky, Reese Maguire. You want to break that down a little bit?
Yeah, before I do, guys, I always love when we do the fun segments. This one's brought to you by Greta Bar, downtown Toronto. It's a fun place to be, 50 arcade games. Go check it out, guys. Super dope. It turns into a club at night, so if that's your vibe, or if you just want to go play video games, that's your vibe too. It's amazing. It's a place for everybody. Cal Quantrill, Canadian boy as well. Gotta love Cal Quantrill. Pitches for the Rockies in what ended up being a blowout game. I think they won like 20-3.
20-7.
20-7. It was insane. But effectively, Cal Quantrill gets Wanky Panky, or Reese Maguire. And on the way back, I don't know what started this, but Cal Quantrill turns over to Reese Maguire, who's walking back to the dugout. And you can read it off of the broadcast. You can read it clearly. He says, "You jacked off in a fucking parking lot, you dumb fuck." And you know, even he points with a finger on fuck. You know, you dumb fuck. Like, he was a little bit heated there with the fuck, with the finger point, you know. And then, of course, Wanky Panky triggers some PTSD, some trauma, and he starts charging at Cal Quantrill. The bench is cleared. I don't think nothing really crazy happened, but actually what was the most crazy thing that happened was the 20 runs that came afterwards.
Right.
But wild, man, that this is haunting Reese Maguire.
What a fucking body bag that Cal Quantrill just put Reese Maguire into,
dumb
man.
Fuck, I'm watching it over right
now.
Yeah.
I mean, like, he really, like, hit on all of those syllables, man. But, I mean, look. Like, this is one of those things that you will absolutely never live down. I still, you know, like, I know that they got to do this because they're Sportsnet and whatever. We watch the Blue Jays all the time. When Reese Maguire was on the Toronto Blue Jays, this transpired.
Yes.
And then they just never really brought it
up
ever at all. You know, and I was kind of like, wow, we're just completely ignoring that it ever happened, you know?
Yeah.
But obviously, you know, like, Cal Quantrill doesn't give a fuck. You know, like, if you're, you know, you're calling me out, it's like, you are calling me out? You? The guy who jacked off in a fucking parking lot and got caught.
Yeah, first of all, let's revisit. I know we've had this conversation.
Yeah.
Let's revisit this on Bad for Baseball, okay? Why parking lot? Why Walmart?
Okay,
why?
Listen, I don't know. I don't know what the motivation was there. I'm not sure. Like, again, I don't know why you weren't capable of just, you know, like, waiting 15 minutes till you drove home and then, like, you know, getting it done. For me, though, it always comes back to, how did you get caught? Like, how did you get, like, violent was your session that, you know, like, somebody noticed and either alerted the police or the police happened to be in and around the area and noticed something going on, and then how, when they were either driving up in their car or walking up to your vehicle, did you not have the awareness in your, violent, drumming of passion to, to notice that somebody's fucking walking up to you right now.
I guess if you're in a parking lot, you got to lock the hell in and you got to focus up and you got to like just clear out the rest of the world and like really get into your zone. You know what I mean? But my thing is, you really couldn't wait. Like, actually, why? I mean, I've never had the thought of I'm going to jack off in a parking lot. Like, there's just, why? Wouldn't you rather be in the comfort of your home or bathroom or whatever it is that you privately do these things? Why a parking lot? Why? That's my big question, and I'm with Kyle Quantrill. Like, that's really stupid. Why the fuck would you do that?
And then you got caught.
Yeah.
And you went in a police car.
There's only wrong that could come from this. There's only wrong. I mean, only one good thing is like, yeah, sure, you finished, but you could have done that at home.
Right.
Why? What's going on? Was there trouble at home?
I mean, look, part of me regrets that I'm even going to say this, but like I almost wish that I was a fly in the car, like seeing like what was like how did this transpire,
Yeah,
like, really,
not, maybe not in the car, but just outside.
What was the moment
the
before? How did this? Because I keep coming back to the fact like how did you
was
get
it like
caught?
A busy rush hour? Like was it like on a Monday?
Like how packed was this parking lot? Like was there people everywhere? Was there kids walking by?
That's the thing. Like then you're stupid.
Was
as
it
shit.
was it like in the evening time though when it's like it's your car? Because I've always been picturing that it's like kind of
nighttime. It was like broad daylight,
dusk.
It was broad daylight.
Was it?
Yeah, I remember seeing the photos and.
Okay, well, I mean, again, like. Weird, but like I was always kind of picturing it's like like you parked at the end of the parking lot, and it's like there's not really any cars around you, and you're just by yourself, and I'm like, well, how did you get caught doing this? I don't know, man. I really don't know. And again, like now, I'm sure this isn't the first time, and it also isn't going to be the last time that Reese Maguire, or AKA Wanky Panky, hears about his adventures in the Walmart parking lot.
I'm sure he hasn't done it since. So like
I wouldn't be so sure, man. I wouldn't be so sure.
I'd be so embarrassed after getting caught in a parking lot.
Listen. I'll be honest, man, I don't know. Because again, like you got to be a special type of guy to, for one, do it there, and then B, to get caught. So it's like I just don't think that he's got that level of thinking.
That's all you're known for, though. Is the I'm surprised how many people didn't know about this. But like, could you tell me how many years Wanky Panky's played in the big leagues?
7?
I don't even know.
Like I don't know.
We don't know. But you could tell me that what superstore he jacked off in front of.
Yeah.
So like that's my point. Is like that is all he's known for, and like I'd be so embarrassed.
Yeah, he does have a legacy. I mean, look, sometimes bad. What's the saying right now? It's like no. Oh yes. No publicity or like even bad publicity is good publicity.
Yeah.
It's like at least you're known for something, right?
That's true.
At least you're known for something.
That's true.
What's Kyle Quantrill known for?
I only know him because he's Canadian.
That's it.
That's it.
I'm not as cool as Wanky Panky's thing, right?
Yeah,
like,
I hear you.
I mean, like,
Wanky Panky's probably more known than
that's
Kyle
the thing,
Quantrill.
like you're a little bit, like you're more known than that guy, right? This guy plays on the Rockies right now.
Well,
who are you, Kyle Quantrill? Who are you?
Quantrill, it's time for you to go pull up your car in front of a Target and put your name on the board.
Yeah, literally. Like, let's get our Listen, man, put your money where your mouth is, all right?
Yeah.
Put your money where your mouth is. Let's move on, everybody, and discuss some of the stuff that we were talking about a bit earlier. We led off with here, Skubal maybe getting moved over. And the big team right now that is looking at him is Baltimore Orioles. Baltimore Orioles, who are one of the best teams in baseball, who have one of the best farm systems in baseball, so they have the assets to go out and acquire somebody who is, at this rate, probably going to win the American League Cy Young, and is certainly deserving of it if and when that does happen. But if this guy gets moved, this is going to be a massive blockbuster. This might be more than, in fact, I think that it will be more than, the Juan Soto deal that we saw years ago, just because of the years of control on Tariq Skubal, what he's doing this year, what he did last year. I mean, it is very, very rare that you can go out and trade for a controllable Cy Young potential ace.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very close. I mean, if anything's going to challenge it, it'd be this one. I mean, you've got Tariq Skubal, 2 more years after this, and the proposal here. Now, I just want to clear this up before I even say the proposal. I haven't heard a word. I don't know if you have that the Detroit Tigers is even entertaining a trade. For
so
Skubal.
the biggest thing that I've been hearing, and this was confirmed. This was John Morosi or John Heyman? One of the John. It was John Morosi. So John Morosi reported that the Detroit Tigers, they have their scouts going to Baltimore's AAA squad.
As you should.
They're looking at the team. And we haven't heard that about them doing that with any other team. Right now, it's very possible. Sorry to cut you off, but it is very possible that, they could just be doing that because, you're interested in a Jack Flaherty or somebody else.
That's exactly what I was going to say, yeah.
However, with all of the reports going down right now that, Tariq Skubal is the guy that the Orioles are looking at, which is something that is absolutely been confirmed that they have been calling about him.
For sure.
It does add to the fuel to the fire of, maybe this is something on the table.
Yeah, it could be. And again, kind of going back to the beginning, it's like you're going to need a big proposal to even consider. It's the same thing when I'm thinking about my Toronto Blue Jays, like for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I'm going to need a big return for me to jump ship with any hope of competing in the next few years, and Skubal's part of that. However, if you get back what this fan side of the article is saying right here, if the Tigers get Jackson Holliday and Heston Kierstad, which is a cornerstone third baseman outfielder that they need another outfielder. They would love that to pair up with Riley Green. And then you get Jackson Holliday to be your second baseman, shortstop, whatever you want to be, replace Baez. Doesn't matter because you got Cole Keep now on the third base side, right? That'd be great. Now you're starting to build a foundation. However, it would cost you Tariq Skubal and Jason Foley, who's under control until 2028. He's been a decent arm for them in their bullpen. But then again, now you're taking a hit on pitching. You're going to lose Flaherty. Now your pitching staff looks completely different than it did. So where are you kind of at, in terms of the Tigers? Would this trade make you smash the button or make you think about it a little bit?
Let's boil it down because, again, when you start throwing in Kierstad and Foley and stuff, it gets a bit complicated. Let's start with this. Would you trade Jackson Holliday for Tariq Skubal? If you are the Baltimore Orioles, would you do that? If you're the Baltimore Orioles, do you give away the number one prospect in all of baseball, Jackson Holliday, for Tariq Skubal?
Well, obviously, if I'm the Baltimore Orioles and my fan base has really grown love to Jackson Holliday, but he hasn't come up and played yet. I already have Gunnar Henderson playing shortstop. I already have Westberg playing third base. Second base, I'm kind of blanking on who they have. Mateo, I think it is.
Jackson Holliday will be the second baseman when it's time.
Right, and so it's I could have an unreal stacked infield. Unreal. But my offense hasn't really been suffering without Jackson Holliday. It's not he's going to be the game changer. Maybe he is. I don't know. Maybe he comes up and changes the game. But what I really do need is starting pitching, and I need it for a while. Because, yes, you have Corbin Burns this year, which has been undoubtedly your ace, but he's going to test free agency next year. He is the coveted starting pitcher on the market. Am I going to get him back? I don't know. But I can guarantee that for the next 2 years, I'm going to have Corbin Burns level types of pitchers, if not better, in Tariq Skubal. So I would highly consider it.
It's close for me, man. It is really, really close. Now, I just keep coming back to the fact, it's Jackson Holliday, the number one prospect. Everyone is so high on him. If he comes out and it's oh, Jesus Christ, this is the next, this is the next Hall of Famer, right? If that's what happens,
right.
You're going to look at that and you're going to go, holy shit, did we really just give that guy away? And that's a real possibility. That is something that could 100% happen. So, if I'm the Baltimore Orioles, yes, I think it does. I think it makes sense to go out and get a Tariq Skubal because, listen, that guy is.
Of course.
He's got a 5 WAR right now. He's got a 2.34 ERA. He is incredible at baseball.
He's going to solve a lot of your problems.
He's going to solve a lot of your problems. But I also think that, and I'm trying to put myself in the mind of a Baltimore Orioles owner right now. I feel like I've fallen in love a little bit with Jackson Holliday.
That's another thing.
And, hell, we've had 2 guys be the number 1 overall ranked prospect in all of baseball, and they are sure as hell doing pretty good right now. This is the third guy right here. Do we really want to give that guy away when we're watching our other number 1 prospects tear the cover off the ball?
That's the thing. It's you're talking about this guy could be a Hall of Famer. It's Rutschman could be a Hall of Famer.
Oh, sure.
Gunnar Henderson could be a Hall of Famer.
He could.
Do I really want 3? Well, maybe I do. 3 Hall of Fame guys, or do I move that asset over to, like we said, one of those other cylinders? It's okay. We're moving, but what would make it really start churning like my offensive cylinder is if I make that move and then adding in this other part of the deal, which then it starts to get in question. Heston Kierstad has been great for me. I love Heston Kierstad. Am I really going to trade him away for a bullpen guy? Granted, I'm controlling him for a lot of years. Foley's okay. He's not phenomenally great. His career ERA over 174 innings pitched is 320 with a whip of 1.2. Like, it's not even that great. I honestly would rather keep Keston Hierstad. For me, that kind of like feels a little bit awkward.
Well, again, yeah, that's why I kind of brought it back to that whole Jackson Holliday, Tariq Skubal thing, because just from a 1-to-1 thing, like if there's anyone that would warrant, trading away the number 1 overall ranked prospect in all of baseball for, it is a guy who's got 2 more years of control, who is looking like he's going to win the Cy Young, who had a ERA under 3 last year and now has an ERA of 2.34. Like it's that guy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I can't really think of anyone else in baseball that is at least available right now that would warrant trading a Jackson Holliday for. So I think that, the Baltimore Orioles, if they are serious about this, and if they seriously want to win the World Series this year, then you know what? Fuck it. Go out, do it, spend your bullet. However, I mean, there is also a potential, like, can you imagine if, the next decade with Holliday and Gunnar and Adley Rutschman, and that is your trio of just, ridiculous superstars on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, that first inning, trying to get through that first inning would be hell. It already is hell for these, opposing pitchers. So there is definitely 2 ways to look at it. I'm so split, man. But you know what? I'm along for the ride regardless.
I think it makes a ton of sense for the Orioles. The Tigers, on the other hand, like it almost feels like you're moving the asset in the wrong direction. Like for the Baltimore Orioles, you're moving the asset in the right place. We have a strength, which is our offense. Not so much strength pitching. I'm moving it over there. That makes sense. Whereas the Tigers, they need a lot, but like they're kind of equal in terms of their pitching and their offensive strengths. Like it's Skubal's obviously a big boost right there. They got Riley Green on the other side of things. But you're going to lose Flaherty. Then you're going to lose Skubal if you make this trade. You're going to add in Jackson Holliday. Going to be awesome. Riley Green, great. But now your pitching staff is dead. You got to go make moves. Now, but that's the clear direction you got to make.
Well, again, like if you were to do something like, if you're the Detroit Tigers and you trade away Tariq Skubal and you trade him for Jackson Holliday, you have now made the commitment that we are building our team around Jackson Holliday.
Yeah,
that's the commitment that you're making. So I don't even think that they would be concerned about where their pitching staff is right now, because again, they are not going to be competitive until Jackson Holliday comes up and is really good at baseball in 2 years from now.
Yeah. So then you got to go spend. And you got to hope that Bias contract expires.
Exactly.
And you get out of that.
Yeah. He would be the guy, and that again, the great point right there. Javier Baez, Jackson Holliday is going to come in
easily
and
replace
kick
him.
that guy out of there, and that's going to be, you go from spending over $20 million a year to spending absolutely next to nothing because this is a prospect. So you're saving a bunch of money there, assuming the Baez contract expires and when that happens. So again, I can see it from a Detroit Tigers standpoint, because you could get the number 1 overall prospect in baseball, and that is really tough to get.
I guess if you're not going to compete in the next 2 years,
that's the decision.
That's the thing, right?
That's the decision, right? And are they going to?
Which
sucks. It does
because
suck.
they want. This was the year they were supposed to compete, and some things worked. But damn, Torkelson really sunk them. Damn, Baez really sunk them.
Yeah.
Bullpen kind of sunk them.
Yeah.
It sucks for the
That's
Tigers.
the thing. I mean, they have some pieces. They don't have a ton.
Yeah.
And it's a tough spot
Reroll
for the GM. Exactly. It's a really tough spot for the GM to be. Do you want to trade away your sure thing and get the most exciting mystery box, or just hope for the best and hold on to Tariq Skubal and then see what happens next year?
Well, we'll have to see, guys. Another trade rumor. We're talking about the Baltimore Orioles as one of the big buyers, and they definitely are. Looking at people like Tariq Skubal, but you also got the LA Dodgers, and they're always going to be buyers. There's rumors, you've broken that down on a short. They're looking at Crochet because they desperately need pitching. Last 30 days, worst team in baseball in ERA.
Yeah,
that's insane. Next to our Toronto Blue Jays. Let's go. And then you got Luis Robert Jr. coming out there, and maybe they might buy him. But another guy that's been cooking, and this has been starting to report it. I think I lost it right here, but basically you've got the LA Dodgers looking at now Randy Arozarena, who has started to cook. Yes, the overall number 707 OPS doesn't look too good, but he's been really starting to cook. In the last 14 days, he has an OPS of 990. It's even higher in the last week. And they could use an outfielder. I mean, they could always use another bat. They're the LA Dodgers. I don't really think they need pitching, but they're starting to look over at the Randy Arozarena, and they're saying, hey, look, we're the LA Dodgers. Let's go all in. Might as well grab another guy. What are your thoughts on that kind of decision making, I guess, for the Dodgers?
This is status quo, man. I mean, honestly, this is the most like I don't want to say nothing burger because it's not a nothing burger, but it's like it's just the most expected thing I think that we've talked about so far in this episode. It's like, of course, the Dodgers are going to go out and they're going to get a Rosarina. And, of course, I mean, in this article that, we're referencing by MLB, by the way, Mark Feinsand, I mean, they're also talking about Tariq Skubal because, they're going to be, look.
They need Tariq Skubal more than anything, I think.
Probably, right? And, I mean, look, he is the best available guy out there right now, and obviously the Dodgers are going to be in on whoever that guy is, regardless of what his name is or position is. So, yeah, I mean, they're going to be in on a Rosarina. I don't know if he's going to be the one that they end up with, but I would say that the LA Dodgers are going to trade for 2.5 to 3.5. That's the line right now. Quality players in the next 5 days.
Yeah, I mean, I could see a Rosarena. That's an easy fit. They're just picking apart the Rays this year.
Yeah,
right? Getting Tyler Glasnow too. You could also see a Chaz Chisholm Jr. Jazz Chisholm Jr. And then you could also, I mean, if they're not going to get Skubal, go get Crochet. Go get Luis Robert. Like they can get it. They're going to get one of those guys, if not two. They're going to get one or two of them. They're going to go make a move.
Yeah,
they have to.
Of course,
go dominate.
Look, they're absolutely going to make a move, man. It's the Seattle Mariners, but to a lesser extent, right? Because they're so good offensively speaking, and then recently the pitching has fallen off the table, right? So kind of the flip side of what the Mariners are going through. But the difference is that you're LA. And, you do not stand for this.
No.
This is unacceptable.
I recently made a video talking about Bo Bichette going over to LA as being one of the options. And Miguel Rojas, last month of baseball, has an OPS under 600. I can't let that happen.
No.
I've had Trey Turner on this team. I've had Mookie Betts playing shortstop. Yes, he was going to come back, but how good's he going to be? We'll have to see. I can't let my middle infield go down like that.
Well, and I'll, go into that Bo Bichette stuff because I know that's been rumored a lot, and it's starting to quiet down a little because Toronto is like really putting their foot down about not wanting to do it. I don't know if Bo Bichette's good enough for them anymore. I don't think he's. I don't think he is.
No, now he's injured.
Now he's injured, and he's playing like ass.
That would be an off-season move.
Exactly right for an LA Dodgers team that's looking to win the whole thing. I don't think that Bo Bichette is good enough now for the LA Dodgers, which is just a wild thing to report, wild thing to say, but I just think it's true. That's the way that they operate, man. They're going to get the best of the best, and they will come out the other side that much better, and then they'll choke it away in the NLCS or NLDS.
Yeah. Well, actually, I'll bring this up a little bit. We didn't plan to talk about this, but we could talk about this until our fucking mouths die or tongues fall off. The Toronto Blue Jays, you just mentioned it. They're putting their foot down that they're not wanting to sell any of their guys beyond 2024 that they have under contract. And they're talking about 2025 being like, we're going to compete. You had Ken Rosenthal come out and talk about I really think this is a bad decision from the Toronto Blue Jays that they're not selling away all their guys, that they're actually trying to compete. Because you look at the entire team and it's an absolute piece of crap.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I 100% agree. I 100% agree, man. I mean, they've come out now. Ben Nicholson-Smith from Sportsnet reported that just the other day, literally, they're not looking at anyone with controllable stuff. It's all going to be, your Yusei Kikuchi and maybe your Justin Turner, but Chris Bassett and Bo and Guerrero, they're not going anywhere. They're not even thinking about it, right? And again, this could be all of a a tactic from the Blue Jays management to, put it out there and be like, hey, we don't want to trade them, but, we're still kind of looking just to see if you can up their price, right?
They're listening to a couple guys.
Up their price. But, I mean, I think we've heard so much about it now at this point. Like, I do think that there is some serious truth to all of that now.
Yeah.
And I think that it's just fucking stupid. Like, it is really dumb. And Ken Rosenthal, comes out and he really puts his foot down and just lays out the land saying, you're not going to be competitive in 2025. This core, when they were at their best, has won 0 playoff games.
Yeah.
They're 0 for 6. That's when they're at their best.
Yeah.
That's assuming that everybody. The ceiling of everything here is everybody gets back into form, playing fucking incredibly, and so that we can make the wild card and then get swept again.
Yeah.
That's the ceiling of everything. That's hopefulness.
Yeah.
And I mean, that probably isn't going to happen either. So I mean, I really do think that the Toronto Blue Jays are being extremely stubborn. And when you are looking at right now this trade market and seeing that there isn't a whole lot of sellers, there's not a whole lot of guys, available. Maybe people don't want to go out and they don't want to have to spend a Jackson Holliday to get a Tariq Skubal. Well, guess what? Here's Chris Bassett, everyone.
Yeah.
Here's Chris Bassett. You don't want to have to pay up for Tariq Skubal? Oh, it's okay. That's okay.
Orioles would love that.
You can take a Chris Bassett. It's not going to cost you, a total arm and leg. It'll cost you something.
Okay,
but
I'll take Kobe Mayo. Take Kobe Mayo.
Yeah. You're right. It's like I think that you're missing an opportunity right now to at least imprint yourself on this market because there isn't a whole lot of other available guys. If you say that, hey, Chris Bassett's available, boom, LA Dodgers are on
immediately.
The phone.
I don't want to pay
Orioles
Crochet and Skubal. Yeah, like literally Bassett would become the next most sought after guy.
Yes.
Because it wouldn't be that expensive.
Wouldn't cost you as much as some of the other.
It would still cost you, but not as much.
But not as much.
You're willing to do that,
and you'd still get a great return. So I think that the Blue Jays are fumbling the bag as per usual. This does, this isn't a new thing, everybody. But that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, and I've come to the realization, unless they have some master plan to absolutely up their budget by $100 million and go insane mode and spend out of their ass this offseason to acquire a fresh new roster, that's the only way they're going to compete because we're talking about the core. Yeah, this core can't win. Go buy a new one. That's the only way because there's no core coming up in the minor league system.
Yeah.
You got to go buy a new core. So unless you're going to do that, then you're stupid.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that makes sense to me.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, it's they're in a terrible spot, but they aren't doing themselves any favors either.
No.
And this is what they do.
Yeah, it is. And speaking of Vladimir Guerrero Jr., I wanted to give this a little shout out because I saw this being reported. Christian Yelich, season-ending back surgery.
Yeah.
That's very, very unfortunate. Looking at team OPS, he obviously leads it at 910, but then after that, the next guy that's even close to him would be William Contreras, at 787. So they desperately are missing that bat. And their reporters were asking their coach, Pat Murphy, saying, hey, would this setback cause the Brewers to go out and make a move at the deadline? And he said, what do you suggest we do? Go get Vlad Jr.? And all the Brewers fans out there are like, yes.
Yeah.
Go make a move because the Brewers they haven't been making great moves in the past because, they have budget restrictions and Vlad next year would probably get paid more than Christian Yelich annual average value. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but the Brewers are going to be Brewers, and they're gonna just ride it, and there's nothing they can really do about it.
Would the smart move be to go out and get Guerrero? Probably,
sure.
But that's not the way that they operate,
no.
Right? That's not the way that they operate, and this is the sad thing about baseball, right? There are so many constraints that you're stuck with. The Milwaukee Brewers got dealt a bad hand. They were not located in LA.
No, that's it.
That's it, right? And now you gotta play within your means. And Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is not within your means. And even if it was, the Toronto Blue Jays aren't willing to give him up anyway. So
no, exactly. I mean, they're gonna want a haul for him. That's all they have. That's the only hope that fans have. That's the only hope the Blue Jays have.
Yeah,
on this team. All right, guys. This is the end of the podcast, of the Bad for Baseball podcast, episode 8. Next time we come back, guys, it's going to be a completely different landscape. Mm-hmm. Players are going to be moving all across the country, all across the continent maybe, and it's going to be an interesting stretch as we go towards the postseason. Who's going to be the winner? Who's going to be the losers at the deadline? I'm sure we're going to be talking about that next Thursday, everybody.
Very excited, folks. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you all next Thursday.
Cheers.